Ever wondered if there's more to reality than meets the eye? What if the world you perceive is just a fraction of a grander, more complex existence? Prepare to have your mind stretched as we dive into a concept that challenges everything you thought you knew about space, time, and perception. The fourth dimension. We live in a world defined by three spatial dimensions. Think about it. You can move left or right, forward or backward, and up or down. These three directions, length, width, and height, allow us to navigate our environment, understand distances, and interact with objects. Every object you see, from a tiny pebble to a towering skyscraper, exists within these three dimensions. When you walk down a street, your brain effortlessly calculates the distance to a beautiful tree or the height of a building. You instinctively judge how far you are from the bus stop or how fast you need to run to catch your bus. This intuitive understanding of three-dimensional space is fundamental to our daily lives and how we experience reality. It's our baseline, our comfort zone. But what if there's a layer beyond it? Now, imagine adding another direction, a fourth spatial dimension, perpendicular to all three we currently know. This isn't about time, which is often colloquially referred to as the fourth dimension. We're talking about a spatial dimension, a new axis of movement. It's a direction we cannot physically point to or move through in our current state of being. This concept goes beyond our usual understanding of height, width, and depth, pushing the boundaries of our imagination. It's a theoretical construct, yet one that has profound implications for how we might perceive and interact with the universe. To truly grasp this, we need to break free from our ingrained 3D thinking. Visualizing a fourth spatial dimension is incredibly challenging because our brains are hardwired for three. However, we can use analogies to help us conceptualize it. Imagine a two-dimensional being, a flatlander, living on a sheet of paper. They can move left, right, and forward, backward, but they have no concept of up or down. If a three-dimensional object, like a sphere, were to pass through their 2D world, they wouldn't see a sphere. They would perceive a series of changing circles, a tiny dot appearing, growing into a larger circle, then shrinking back to a dot, and finally disappearing. This is how we might perceive a four-dimensional object passing through our 3D space, as a series of changing 3D forms. The most famous example of a four-dimensional object is a tesseract, or a hypercube. Just as a square is a 2D projection of a cube is a 3D projection of a tesseract. If you were to see a tesseract, it wouldn't look like a static object. It would appear to constantly fold, unfold, and shift in ways that defy our 3D logic, revealing its complex structure from all angles simultaneously. In this four-dimensional reality, your perception would be altered in profound ways. You would no longer just see your surroundings as static objects in space. Instead, everything would feel fluid and dynamic, revealing hidden connections and layers. Imagine being able to step not just to the left or right, but forward into a new layer of reality that we can't even begin to visualize. Objects would overlap in ways that create entirely new perspectives. A tree might appear to unwrap itself, revealing layers of bark, branches, and leaves that could connect at various points in time or through different spatial orientations. You would see not only the physical shape, but also its entire history, its growth, and its potential futures, all simultaneously accessible through this extra dimension. It would be like seeing every possible angle and internal structure of an object at once. While we've been discussing a spatial fourth dimension, it's crucial to acknowledge the concept of time as the fourth dimension in physics, particularly in Einstein's theory of relativity. Here, time isn't just a separate entity. It's interwoven with the three spatial dimensions, forming a unified fabric called spacetime. Every event, every object, exists as a world line through this four-dimensional space-time continuum. In this framework, rather than simply observing the flow of moments, you might witness events as they happen, merge with the past, and see into the future, not as predictions, but as existing points in space-time. What if you could view the life of a person all at once, seeing their past, present, and potential futures laid out like a tapestry? This could fundamentally change how we connect with one another and how we view choices, understanding their full trajectory. You might wonder what interactions would look like in a four-dimensional space. If you extended your hand to shake someone else's, you wouldn't just meet their palm. Instead, your hands could blend together in a multitude of ways, creating new shapes and connections through time and space that are impossible in 3D. It's like two 2D beings trying to shake hands. Their hands would simply overlap. In 4D, you could potentially reach the inside of an object without breaking its outside. Imagine being able to access the contents of a sealed box without opening it, simply by moving through the fourth dimension. This ability would redefine concepts of containment, access, and even privacy, making our current understanding of physical barriers obsolete. To gain a better understanding, let's visualize a familiar concept: the shadow of a three-dimensional object. When light hits a cube, it casts a shadow in 2 dimensions, a square or a rectangle, depending on the angle. This 2D shadow gives us some information about the 3D object, but it's incomplete. But what would the shadow of a 4-dimensional object, like a tesseract, look like if projected into our 3-dimensional space? It wouldn't be a static shape. It could be an ever-changing, morphing silhouette that shifts and warps as the hypercube rotates through the 4th dimension. This continuously evolving picture would tell a story of its own, revealing glimpses of its true, higher-dimensional form. It would be a dynamic, impossible geometry constantly reconfiguring itself before your eyes. Now I need to pause for a moment and ask you, if you find this exploration of the 4th dimension intriguing, why not subscribe to our channel? Hit that bell icon so you don't miss out on any of our thought-provoking discussions about the unexplored frontiers of science, philosophy, and imagination. Your support helps us continue these mind-bending journeys. Returning to our exploration, consider how our daily lives would change in a 4-dimensional framework. Think about travel. It could be instantaneous. You wouldn't have to deal with traffic jams or long flights. Instead, you would simply shift through the dimensions, emerging where you want to be in the blink of an eye. Your perception of distance be transformed, making the world feel smaller and more interconnected, as if all points were just a step away. Friendships and relationships would also experience a profound shift. In a 4-dimensional landscape, misunderstandings might vanish as you could instantly comprehend someone's feelings, thoughts, and experiences all at once, seeing their entire emotional and cognitive landscape. The concept of empathy as we know it could evolve dramatically, becoming a direct, undeniable experience rather than an inferred one. It would reshape our society, fostering deeper connections and potentially reducing conflicts by eliminating the barriers of subjective perception. This concept stretches beyond mere theory. It ignites the imagination across disciplines. Artists and architects would be able to create masterpieces that play with perception and experience in ways we can barely conceive. Imagine buildings that fold in on themselves, revealing new spaces as you move through them, or sculptures that change their entire form depending on your dimensional perspective. These creations would encourage us to rethink how we view beauty, structure, and interaction. Science could revolutionize itself through the understanding of new physical laws governing these extra dimensions. Theoretical physics already explores concepts like string theory, which posits the existence of many more dimensions curled up at subatomic levels. If we could access or even just better understand these, it could lead to innovations we cannot yet fathom, from new forms of energy to a deeper comprehension of the universe's fundamental forces. Philosophically, embracing a fourth dimension challenges our very definition of reality. What is real if there are layers of existence beyond our immediate perception? It forces us to question the limitations of our senses and the biases of our three-dimensional perspective. It opens up new avenues for understanding consciousness, free will, and the nature of existence itself, pushing us to consider possibilities far grander than our current understanding. Exploring the fourth dimension fundamentally alters our interaction with the universe. Embracing such an experience may challenge everything we know about existence, forcing us to adapt our cognitive frameworks. Just as artists and thinkers throughout history have pushed the boundaries of creativity and research, imagining life in four dimensions encourages us to look beyond what is immediately visible, to question the obvious, and to seek deeper truths. Imagine a world where you could navigate freely through every layer of existence, where your perception continuously adapts and evolves, revealing an ever-unfolding tapestry of reality. It's a thrilling concept that propels us into new territories of understanding and exploration, encouraging us to seek the unknown and to never stop asking, what if? This journey into the fourth dimension is not just about theoretical physics. It's about expanding the very limits of human thought and imagination. This journey into the fourth dimension is just one of many mind-bending explorations we embark on here. If you've been captivated by the possibilities, if your curiosity has been sparked, then don't let this be the end of your adventure. Hit that subscribe button right now and join our community of curious minds. Turn on notifications so you never miss another deep dive into the mysteries of the universe, cutting-edge science, and philosophical wonders. Share this video with a friend who loves to think outside the box, and leave a comment below telling us what you think life in four dimensions would truly be like. Let's keep this conversation going and continue to explore the unimaginable together.